Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I've got a couple of topics I'm going to talk about today. But first, I might say that I'm going to make somewhat of a commitment, and I'll put it up the front. So, obviously, part of like what I've had to try and do is incredibly complicated, and has put me in has permanently changed my life because that's what was involved. So that's an interesting point to make. First off, straight off the bat, I've had to do this to my life, and anyone would have to do this to their life in order to attempt to try and prove what I'm claiming is that these systems, these online systems, these social media networks are horrifically under pressure, working differently than most people would perceive they are. Now that gets you into a weird type of philosophical argument straight away, because you're like, well, is it that these systems aren't working as one would have assumed, or would it always have broken down this way under pressure? Then, so the easy thing for critics of mine would be, they'd be like, well, no, it's just you. It breaks down under pressure because of you, because you're subpar. And I just can't, that's that covert narcissism, not so covert, but I guess I just can't, because the output is so high. And it's not like we have politicians, constantly in this thing. They don't actually do a hell of a lot. So I am now an enigma. I'm like, well, my output is super high. It's getting better and better and better. I'm putting absolutely now zero attention into things like sound quality, scene quality, gimmicks, algorithm loving, even things like lighting, makeup, music, all the things, editing. Which, look, now that I've gotten to here, I don't think I'd change it for the world. So I'm not going to introduce any editing, but I could use a better camera, and I could put on a better suit, and I could, attempt to stop swearing and be super legitimate. And then I just will be interested to see what exactly happens within that. It's kind of like, because the situation we have now is I see a giant fire, and everyone is in denial, which is a very common occurrence. It's normalcy bias. It's like cognitive dissonance. So that's all there. It's just that the fire is in this place that no one really understood. And my attempt is going to be philosophical, I guess, but also like scientific and investigative, to try and actually find out whether it is like what ratio this is at. So what ratio of, is it the social media and the digital environment is acting atrociously? I think it is, because I think it has a level of anonymity, not just in, so there's been lots of talk about this is the anonymous troll effect, where people troll people online. One of the funny things that I've noticed in my whatever time doing it is there's people that you will know that are hideous trolls to strange things constantly, but yet they present, so they go out into the digital environment and troll just people, not necessarily celebrities even, but or minor celebrities, for weird things, atrociously, and then return back to their little digital cave, or their little billboard of themselves, which is like Facebook or Instagram, and then pretend to be like these people. And in their groups, perhaps they're these kind of, well adapted people, but then they're going out into the world and doing this thing. That's fucking terrifying. And it's something that unless you were you had a friend that was a constant world traveler, and then you found out it's oh yeah, he goes to third world countries and fucking beats women. Like, that's kind of all around us. So that gets us to a weird point. It's like, well, was that always going on? Obviously, it is. Obviously, there are hundreds of thousands of people from across the Western world that travel to sections of Asia and Africa and wherever. And this is men and women. And, you know, participate in all types of hideous behavior. So that it's not occurring here. So we like outsource our sin to these other places. And this is now just projected onto the internet. And I kind of can't help but think that this is all going to come spiraling back on us. And if we don't fucking understand, I'm not saying that sound like I'm trying to protect this thing. It's like I'm just very interested to see the reality of what these systems are going to do under pressure, as opposed to what people assume they are going to do under pressure. Because already in my experiment, I've already seen that is going to end horrifically. And then hidden within this as well, we have our system of politicians who have kind of pre-internet gained their place within that thing and are now trying to restrict internet, which to me only looks like they're protecting this paradigm of this clean, I'm this, look at me, I'm here, here's my LinkedIn profile, and then I sneak off around the internet and fucking, you know, slander and attack people and spew fucking hideous vomit at them. And that is what's going on. And under pressure, they're just not going to adapt. People are... It's like the bystander effect, or the... when you get big cities, and they've done experiments like this where they've put like a dead body on the street and people will step over it. That's kind of one thing to think about. Okay, this is like a big anonymous city. So that is what these social media networks has done. But our entire political system requires that isn't happening in our social discourse. And then what I think is also happening is that because that these internet personalities, the ones that are kind of pandering, that's not me. I'm an offensive fucking, you know, subpar, too boring, too technical person. I'm not selling gym equipment or something like that, or a gym, like some type of thing. Those individuals have kind of hijacked the entire thing. So now everyone that's not really openly participating in it, they're all kind of imitating the people that are seen to be successful online. So it's like a big imitative, like monkey see, monkey do party, where they will see. So already my example, if I think of my children and the attack on me by their stepfather and their mother, those two individuals are sitting there being horrific fucking alcoholics, daily drinking an atrocious amounts of alcohol, like used our entire court process, the police, as their own personal army. They've, you know, participated in just blatant obfuscation of responsibility with no onward thought into the effects of what it does to a child to see their father treated that way, considering two of my children are male. That doesn't matter because they're just playing a small game to win in this. So that is happening there and kept out of it mainly because something boring, methodical, like appropriate, thorough, critical, non-commercial, so not selling something, non-financially successful, which is what most people would I think, subconsciously expect our politicians to be. They're like, oh, they're these people that just do all these good things, right? And no one really knew who the politicians were before COVID. So because that's not there, I'm an anomaly to them, yet I'm the exact archetype of what they just followed down on this mandate vaccination policy to commit these atrocious things onto me. I hope you followed that. So that's really confusing and weird. So we have like a wall that's been built where you're going. See, the politicians of the next generation are not going to look like the ones from the last. Thank God, because that last cohort of politicians was kind of the pinnacle of the audiovisual, like television, radio, internet world. And they had a perfect balance between, like, they had their finger on the switch as to what they wanted seen and what they didn't want seen, in communion with a bunch of other companies that operate the same. You remember, all these corporations are classed as individuals. So they all have to follow the same set of rules. But we're building a society where those rules that are being shaped to govern huge corporations, how can a corporation be classed as an individual when it is providing for and responsible for all these other people below it? It's creating, that's the kind of Übermensch of the Nazi ideology. That's already completely impossible. And then if we go to the next level of AI, which they're like, here you go, we're just going to have AI politicians do our thing and they're going to be perfect. It's like, no, they don't have a nose, they don't have ears, they don't have touch, they're not treated the same. So they're getting this false thing. Like, people immediately, this is a weird thing, I will immediately be really polite to AI when I'm speaking to it. But that's not the same with people. Because I'm sure there's a cohort of people out there being hideous to AI. And, maybe we should get those transcripts of those conversations and publish them. But we have just a massive mess, and there is no feedback. See, you couldn't live in a village. You couldn't live in a village unless, you could if you were the lord or the duke or the king of something village. You could be an absolute cunt to the people around you, to the peasants or the staff or whatever. And that's kind of a balance between whatever, of how long you're going to get away with that. But this phenomenon isn't those people. These people aren't that. This is an emergent effect from undisclosed socialism that isn't socialism and never will be. No matter, you get the most ardent socialist in any of our Western political systems, they are completely relying upon arbitrage and hideous, sinful incentive programs in order to coerce and persuade their delegates, or not their delegates, their constituents, to prop up their version of socialism. So it's like we've had a king, and you either have a good king or a bad king. But now we're in socialism, we're trying to make a million kings, all from this place known as whatever, that has a flag, and those a million kings are being hideous, not in public squares, not in places that they can be exposed, in dark, dusty corners of the internet, to human beings, which are not even getting their voice heard. And this is where I get back to, like, I'm basically saying that Facebook is the largest cemetery that has ever been built. It is the largest in memoriam display of people that have killed themselves, more than likely because of this behavior. And this is, the politicians just instantly turn it onto the networks. They go, oh, well, it's Mark Zuckerberg's fault. It's Mark Zuckerberg's fault that humans are a fucking hideous bunch that are being lured into this incentives of doing this by a socialist system, because there is no social feedback system, there are no feedback loop, so that people that are being atrocious are being treated atrociously. No, who are the people that are being treated atrociously by openly? Well, anyone that's criticizing it, that isn't the government. it's kind of an obvious realization that there's, in any type of system we've built, whether it's road systems, water systems, electrical, telephone systems, media, newspapers, all these things, through the iterations that we've gone through, like distribution of services and products and things like this, and these are all a communicative, like, innovation process. It's cooperative. It's between the people trying to do it and the people consuming it, the whole network, and there is a network effect to regulate and to try and, improve the whole system. But for some reason now we're getting into like a weird system where no one's really sure who's doing that. Anyone who pokes their head up above the parapet, which is anyone just producing online whatever, becomes like it's like a sideshow alley shooting thing at a carnival. That's actually how it's emerging. And then so the people that are being successful are people that are like, well, I'm going to get shot at if I put my head up over that parapet, so I better suck some dicks, or I better sell some fucking supplements, or I better sell some energy drinks. Otherwise, it's not worth me putting my head above that parapet. And I'm kind of getting back to, I'm like, shouldn't we just make it fucking, less socially acceptable to just attack people on there? And who's mainly responsible for it? Well, the politicians. Why? Because they're not answering criticism on these networks. Because they're standing behind their old model of getting microphones with logos put in them. And what was that doing? That was just advertising that network. It was a symbiotic relationship between the politician and the network. So if we could see this, it was like, yes, all right, as long as we only see politicians with 4 microphones in front of them, then everyone sees that he's our politician and they're our media companies. Now, all of that just slips below consciousness. No one's fucking realized that those things are shaping our reality, but they very much are. So how do we push through in this modern paradigm? Well, do I go work for Channel 7? Do I go work for Channel 9? No, because it's not going to work. I'm not trying to build a business in that model. I'm trying to prevent catastrophe in the next model, in which we're going to inevitably realize that this isn't a distribution network for concentrated propaganda. It's humanity being projected into the digital space. So as always, I'm just a person, but I'm exposing and displaying the way that these digital environments act horrifically different to the real world. Yesterday, for example, the place that I'm at here, next door, there was a domestic dispute. Now, this is something that in suburbia, I have been constantly exposed to. Okay, constantly. I've had mass, and sorry to be a little bit stereotypical, whatever, but it's like a lot of the time the problem is coming from a woman. From a woman, and usually a single mother. Now, obviously, we have a problem like that's a complicated problem, but they're like magnets for trouble because they're magnets for men. And there's, I'm not hitting on their strategy of life, but there is, in my observation, there's a clear strategy of of a certain subsect of single mothers and this is a naturally occurring, an understandable kind of effect, that they surround themselves with men, specifically aggressive men or threatening, whatever, and they kind of play those men against each other in order to protect their children. Wow, why are they doing that? Well, maybe it's because their entire fucking system is turning into a giant billboard on a porn site. Maybe that is threatening to their subconscious. So their innate response is to build this kind of wall of cock around themselves, and then keep them training off each other. Am I leaping off a cliff there, or is that maybe something that could be happening? Is that basically what a tribe is? Probably, yeah. Tribes have probably always been that. Everyone thinks that tribes are started by men. No, they're started by women. There's one woman, then there's two, there's a group of them. They have 7 dudes floating around them, then they get some kids. The kids kind of grow up. They filter the dudes out and in based on their fucking constant competition that they're forcing them to do. But we don't live in tribes. So why is there like tribalism emerging in these little domiciles that are being spewed around all over the place? Well, I don't know, but let's find out. And let's find out with good presentation skills. Let's work our way up to something that's acceptable. I'll get a few suits if I can do it. I'll get one of those ring lights. I might even put some mascara on, and I'll do something that I can hang my hat on. Now, that wasn't even the subject. I have 2 subjects written down. Part of my process for doing that, and something that I've gotten increasingly better at, is keeping like little post-it notes in my mind of incredibly complicated like concepts. This is something I 100% could not do 3 years ago when I was playing around on the internet doing music and, doing whatever, but now can do. So this has improved me like by a factor of 1,000. It is astronomical. I actually cannot believe if you had projected this person to me, to myself, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, they would be like, what drugs is he on? And I think even like in the consciousness of human, they'd be like, what drugs are you on, Shannon? And the answer is, well, I'm on no drugs. I'm not on any drugs at all. And I never really have been. You've been witnessing someone like who is incurably curious going through the process of actually working out what the fuck is going on in these places. And in the process of doing that, I've gotten better at certain cognitive tasks, which are high-level tasks. And so now we're in a weird thing, but because I poked my head up at the parapet, I've been attacked. Everyone has hung their hat on the fact that I'm an ostracized person who should not be interacted with. Yet now I'm going to just bubble up, take off all the rags and all the mud off my face that I've purposely put there so that you could all feel better about what you were doing. And now you're all going to have to kind of, I don't know, face up to the fact that it seems like doing the things that I've been doing improves you, and it's maybe a good thing to do as opposed to selling pictures of my naked body or something, or selling drugs, or selling dodgy white powder with a $2 sticker stuck on it saying it's some type of supplement. I just all of this shit. This was not the way the world was. So we need to get back to something normal. Anyway, this little collection of shorthand was my topics for the day. So the first topic is I'll say weekly expenses versus freehold ownership. And you're not even going to see it. I just write it down because it helps me. It gives me a second to kind of catch up with myself. So and then I can go back to it. So weekly expenses versus freehold ownership. This is the hottest topic right now everywhere, because it is the only lever of influence that our politicians are finding effective, because it's something that we're all feeling. My claim is that they are not actually attempting to fix this. They are kind of adjudicating a display of distraction and are not actually dealing with the real issue. there is inevitably going to be a problem when you have, let me figure out how I can draw this. And this is all, again, on the fly. I haven't planned this, so it's complicated. And I don't really feel up to it this morning, but I'll give it a go. Okay, so say we start here. We have someone who is, and I need to figure out, the sun gets in the way. Anyway. So we have a conversational point all around the world of like, what is your mortgage? How much is your mortgage costing you, right? And it's, well, think about it this way. Your mortgage will cost you a sleeping bag and a pillow, and you can go and find somewhere safe and secure and dry to sleep for the night. And that is a cost of zero. Okay? And then we have, an $1,000 a week, which I know isn't the top, $1,000 a week mortgage. Okay. Now, my claim is that what's happened is we've ever increasingly, because of the influence of products and marketing and manufacturing industries and retail, all these things, we've increasingly added a level of status to things like outgoing expenses. So it became, and there's two wars going on. There's two front lines, right? You can responsibly go and purchase a property and then work on yourself, or you can aim your arrow into the fucking heavens and go for something completely impossible. And the trick that's been going on for the last 70 years is to try and persuade people that that's not what they're doing. Right? So when you go and get one of these new 5% deposit mortgages, you go and borrow $1 million to buy a place in Sydney, because you're there, you're going to need a car that suits that environment. You're going to need something. And that's the trade-off. But then you're wanting all the things. You then sell. It's like you're not renting. You're not a renter. That is what I'm claiming is that is the only thing that Albanese is selling right now. And because it is offensive to anyone that fucking has ever actually done anything in the different paradigm, he's selling absolute bullshit. If you only have a 5% deposit on your house that you live in, you are not a homeowner. You are not buying a house. You are renting a house. That's it. So the only thing he's selling you is the concept that you can go in to have a conversation with someone else and say, I'm a homeowner. No, you're fucking not. No, you're not. And maybe this is a time where all the Australian actual homeowners can all go and put the government's fucking strategy off to one side, collectively invest, not in a super account, not in some American investment company, not in Coca-Cola, not in Apple, not in themselves. And they can go and create a corporation that is specifically designed to put billboards up in every capital city that says this: 5%, you're not a fucking homeowner. You're a renter still. And just explode the whole concept straight away. Just like that. You are not. You are trying to fucking have your cake and eat it too. You're trying to enter the property market, which is just delusion. The property market wasn't a property market for the majority of its time. I suppose it kind of was, but there was property, and if you wanted to live somewhere, you would buy it. And if you didn't want to permanently live somewhere, you would rent. And then there was a healthy kind of interflow between those two things. So there would be people that were like not certain they wanted to live somewhere, so they would rent. And then there were people that were certain they wanted to live somewhere and they would buy. And both of those things were easily accessible. And then some people would buy to provide the rentals to the people that would rent. And that was a marketplace. So the main marketplace was to the renters. But there was a concentration of power from those renters to be able to demand affordable prices. Like anything. If you went to so basically what's happening right now, if we go to Liquorland and we get a 1.5 litre fucking bottle of fucking Smirnoff, right? Smirnoff. Let's now go and make that cost $400. That's what our apparent property market is doing. Now, what's going to happen if we do that? Well, people are going to start breaking Liquorland windows. People are going to start making moonshine. People are going to start doing all these things. There will be consumer demand to bring prices back to an affordable level. So why doesn't that happen in property? Well, because our government keeps selling fucking bullshit. He's selling you the fact that you can buy 5%, put 5% in, and still be a property owner. And so where did that start? Well, it started at the fact that people were buying on mortgages and calling themselves homeowners. That's where this started. That's a fair way back. How did it start? Well, it started with the baby boomers. And why did that happen? Well, because there was a fuckload of them. So this is I guarantee you what was going on in the say the 70s and the 80s, and this actually it aligns with the social phenomenons that we have seen during these 60s, 70s, 80s periods. So what explains those? Well, why were these such experimental, extravagant, irresponsible, I would say, periods in our history? Because an amazingly large percentage of individuals were instead of say 10 years buying a property, which is kind of what would have happened in the previous generation. So you would have so there's a property, righto. Yes, it costs, let's just say 100 grand, but actually it would have been more like 5 grand or 10. It's 100 grand, and you're going to buy it in 10 years. I want a 30. You can stick a 30-year mortgage up your fucking ass, you long-haired git. You're not getting a 30-year mortgage. You can buy it in 10 fucking years, and it's going to be $800 a week. But that's I only make 1,000. It's like, yeah, figure it out. Figure it out. Then the banks came in, and they promised you that you could tell these old property owners to go and fuck themselves, because there was a new tool in town that you could use to jackhammer your way into their property market, which was called the 30-year mortgage. And what does it do? Well, it gives you the right, because there's enough of you, because we're going to sell this to the entire boomer generation. There's so many of you that you're all going to now skip the step of society accepting the fact that you're a property owner, and you're just going to barge in there and claim that you're a property owner. And it's the way that you're going to steal influence away from that generation before you that fought those wars and did all that nasty shit. You're not like that. You're a peaceful generation. You don't pick up guns, you pick up signs, and you don't pick up fucking shovels and dig your way out of a fucking pit that society's put you in. You walk on a fucking golden elevator all the way up to property ownership status straight away. That's the original conception of what's going on now. So these are the two things. The 30-year mortgage, claiming that you're a property owner, and now the 5% deposit. But this is what's happened. You've gone and fucked the whole thing. You've completely fucked the whole thing because it's all bullshit. It's all there is nothing in this fucking country that prevents me going and fucking providing adequate housing, providing an actual place for people to live. But like to just separate the whole fucking thing. Because you've built Disneyland in the entire country. You've built a paradigm where people can be everything. They can be a property owner, they can be a property investor, they can be a fucking, a collector of fine things. They can go and be a fashion mogul or a fucking, a car enthusiast. All the things that were thought by the boomers to be the pinnacle of society, but weren't. It was no different back then. The pinnacle of society was the people working tirelessly and, just in the thing, in the constant perfection of our systems. But they were fighting a losing battle because they were going to face an onslaught of this ridiculousness. So the boomers looked at the generation before. They went, they've got a nice car, they own their house, they go on a holiday once a year. We're going to continuously one-up them. And the way we're going to do it is credit and mortgages. And how are we going to continue this up? Because then they started competing with each other for status on material bases, not on what they were doing. So that's why this exists. That's why I'm in a dusty corner doing some of the hardest work, trying to actually figure out a pathway through this, understanding the whole history of it. And the boomers are watching fucking, 17-year-olds fucking fuck themselves on the internet while they go on 17 fucking holidays. They have 4 cars in the driveway. They've only just recently paid off the house that they've apparently owned for the last 30 years into a marketplace that is so artificially fucking bubbled up to fucking the heavens. And then they're attempting to now offload that garbage to the next generation in a paradigm that they're never going to own it. Because this is the game. It's like, what's the value? When do you offload? My place is finally there. It's finally, after me owning it for 30 years, but only just paying it off, it's now worth $1.5 million dues. That's a whole lot of zeros. Imagine how many Thai fucking blowjobs I'm going to get for that much money. Because they know the trick. They know they can go live somewhere else for fuck all. They don't tell that. They keep that all down on their fucking, they're like, shh, keep it fucking going. Offload it. That's all I've got to do is sell at 1.5 million to the next generation. Albo's just fucking tugged me fucking handkerchief out of my pocket by doing the 5% deposits. I am sitting on a winner right now. The stock market's getting a bit dodgy because we've created a complete commercial fucking absolute scum pile of fucking bullshit. But it doesn't matter because I'm almost about to hop off the fucking escalator. The fucking golden escalator that I was sold 40 years ago. As long as I can fucking step off that golden escalator right there, right as I get to that, everything's going to be fine. And I don't give a shit if the whole thing catches on fire and fucking explodes in a fury of fucking, explosions, as long as I walk out of there with that $1.5 million dues. Because that's what my financial advisor, who used to make fucking soft serve ice creams at the food hall, but now he did a 2-week course and now he's a financial advisor. That's what he's advised me to do. Well, yeah. But why haven't you done it yet? Well, because of greed. Because they're still playing the status game. The status game is all wrapped up. There is no status game of retiring comfortably and pursuing some type of some project for the humanity. That doesn't exist. They don't actually want to do that. All they want to do is go to the party with the other people and feel better than they do. But there are no parties anymore. There's just now social media. And so as long as they look on social media and they see their nieces and nephews and whatever fucking whoring themselves out in the world that they created, they can feel like the elders that they used to look at They're like, yeah, well, it's different, but it's pretty much the same. We're the elders now. Yeah, we're the superior thing. We've ushered these generations unwitting, whatever. Like, there's never, people are always bashing the generations below, but they're never taking responsibility for it. Well, boomers, you're running out of fucking headroom. There are no people above you, or there's not that many, and they fucking hate you. I can tell you that much for sure. I would love to just go around interviewing the last cohort of the depression people and just ask them what they think about boomers. They'd be like, well, they've basically, since those 30-year mortgages, they've just continuously butt-fucked the entire fucking world. And now they force us to live in their fucking daydream. They were the first ones to do this gender affirmation thing. But it wasn't gender. It was like they had to all be collectively affirmed as responsible property owners instead of absolute fucking recklessly bullshit fucking hippies. And look at their children and their great-grandchildren. They're just constantly protesting for whatever. In fact, it's become so obvious to the fucking world of terrorists, high pages, or Fiverr or whatever these hire companies, that they can go, oh, what do we need? We need a protest in this. Okay, we'll buy them here. They know how to fucking plug into your thing. They're like, oh, Greta Thunberg on a fucking floating yacht, whatever, in Israel. Go. And then you all go. That's just World War II playing in this weird way so the boomers can sit there and think that they're contributing. But they never fought wars, really. A few of them did. The ones that did fight wars were hideously attacked by the ones that stayed home and were responsible and bought a 30-year mortgage and had fondue parties. I'm fucking dead serious. This is that. That's that. And it's happening now, but it's running out of steam. Yeah, it worked when you had just one Rambo rocking up and they're like, hey, man, why didn't you just stay home and be a responsible property owner? While you were gone killing babies, we were provided a 30-year mortgage and we're building the future while we have fondue parties and key parties and all this shit. Like, that's the thing. But now the whole world is just a giant fucking fondue party. And everybody's covered in fucking cheese and nobody owns anything. No one owns a fucking property. It's a one-trick pony fucking market. It worked once to build all of these things because it wasn't actually ownership. It was always renting. And the boomers kind of know it. So they're like, well, I've got to get off this fucking thing. I've been a slave to this bullshit since I signed that fucking mortgage. But I can't tell anyone that because that will crash the entire marketplace. And if I've crashed the entire marketplace, then I'm not going to be able to offload my $1.5 million, and then I'm not going to be able to live like a king in Thailand or whatever the new fucking Thailands are. Like, what is it? North Korea, I think, is getting ready to be the new Thailand. But in the meantime, we have people like sitting there trying to be like, hang on, like piecing this obscure experimental century together to try and figure out what, but back to basics. Like, well, I can just build a fucking house. There's a bit of dirt. There's a water tank. Like, what? We're not in these like Amsterdam and London and these cities that have, deep, multi-level, intricate marketplace dynamics going on to do with planning and infrastructure and permits and building restriction, all these things. Like, that's, or New York. We're in Australia, where it's just like big fucking patches of dirt. It's really bad. And then the internet is like a projection on top of that. And it immediately puts us on the back foot, because if we don't have these cities, or we do, but we don't have the same concentration of them, of like highly concentrated, highly adjudicated marketplace dynamics and employment of things to kind of buffer against the onslaught from the foreign places doing that. We just have like weird little suburban domiciles all disconnected. We're just sitting ducks because there is actually no common project that we're working on, because that doesn't work. So the communists are using capitalism in order to do this, which is just the weirdest thing ever. Because they're right. When everyone says communism doesn't work, they're right. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because people are fucking selfish. So it's easier to sell them on that. Hey, you can have everything that you need to go and walk out and swing your dick around like Mr. Big Balls, but you don't need to do any of the difficult things. You don't need to go without. You don't need to fucking, scrimp and save. You don't need to not go on holidays. You can have it all and still do it. And that's what was sold to the boomers. And that's what we're living in now. Right. The next topic, I'm about 70% happy with what I just said there, with how I'd mapped that out. Because it's like jumping off into a river, and then you're going down the river and you're like, grab this, grab this, grab this. There's a lot more that I could speak to. And I'd actually like questions. If I had a question there, I could answer it. That's how that would normally work. But it's not working like that at the moment. Hopefully one day it will work like that, and I will slowly but surely work towards achieving legitimacy in volunteering my time to sort out the giant problems and the giant fucking garbage bin fires that I see all around me. And I will leave it all up to you to work out when that's an acceptable thing to do. And I will, at any point, just if I feel like changing my mind and I feel like, selling meth or, becoming a porn star, then I know that will be the more acceptable position, the more acceptable profession in this current paradigm. So, yeah, I might just cut my losses at one point and say, well, it's a lost cause. I can't force myself into their lives to try and, put out the fires. I may as well just go with the flow and fucking do what everyone else is doing. The next topic I was going to say, and this is something I noticed this morning and something I wanted to just talk about a bit, so I guess I'll talk for 12 minutes about it, is an observation. Now, I have to be careful whenever I get into gender specific, but this is super gender specific, and it's the female archetype is doing this. And that doesn't matter. But actually, weirdly, what I saw this morning was a trans woman displaying this. And so, yeah, I'm totally open to all their model, because she was exactly displaying what I'd only really seen in women. This is what it is. Women exist. Not all. I will say not all. I've met some wonderful women that don't display this. And it's not really even that bad when they are. It's just misaligned with society. So there is a zone of gossip that women like to exist in, okay? And it does incorporate everything. This is every single little tidbit of information, and some women are more than others, but I do think all of them, including myself, have a lot of their energy and concentration is going into this sphere. So basically, they're trying to map out this gossip map. They're cartographers of gossip. So and it actually has a legitimate reason, because if you go back to tribal or village-based lifestyle, it was really important, because this would be the alarm bell that would sort out the person that had wandered in that was trying to do harm to the village or to the tribe. So that's it. That's what they're doing. And then corporations and capitalist organizations and products and services and marketplaces have learned how to hack into this and to utilize this to end up with a purchase. So this is there. Now, what I want to, so everyone kind of knows that, like, that's, you know, I'm not in, that's like, you know, soap operas and selling Omo and things like that. We're all familiar with that. Now, what I'll say now is that there is a filter on top of this that a lot of you might not have known. Is that, yes, they want the gossip. They want the juicy, juicy gossip. They want all the goss. They want everything, like the meatier the better. Like, look at this Nicole Kidman, Keith Urban thing, like, right? And so they'll filter out two things. Something like, oh, someone's got this something or other thing, like something really boring that doesn't really affect. It's like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me that. I don't really fucking care. I want the juicy gossip, right? So that bounces off. They don't care. And it literally won't even sink in. It'll just bounce off their little sphere. That might be like, oh, I got that permit to go and plant trees in that. Shut up, you fucking dorky bitch. I want to see women being really mean, because they are. That's most women are hideously cruel to other women and to everyone. So something like that isn't gossipy enough, it isn't juicy, it isn't dripping with blood, will bounce off. Now, there's another thing. Sometimes there's something so juicy, so violent and terrifying that it plows its way into their little influence. But then they get here and they're like, oh, that's a bit too serious. Get it out of here. This is what I'm talking about this morning, right? Something's a little bit too serious, because women, despite the fact that they have evolved this thing to absorb this gossip, it's only to a certain level. This is what I want to spend like probably 10 years exposing. And this is why we're in the fucking shit that we're in. I guarantee you. Because this shit that's being thrust out of their fucking their sphere of influence is the most dangerous shit. And normally they would handball this shit to a guy. But there is no guys. There are no people. You know what I mean? It's not like, so that's not the same as phoning the police. Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it is. But the main way that this is dealt with is cognitive dissonance. They just, I didn't see anything there. I wasn't wanting to participate in that gossip to actually be landed with some type of responsibility. I was just participating in gossip because it's fun. And why is it fun? It's fun because you are kept in a bubble of nothing bad happening. You are constantly convinced and shown displays of things that are horrendous that never actually affect you. From the day you're born, you're watching, you know, soap operas and dramas and films and reality TV show where none of these things affect you. So the minute that you actually get something that's affecting you as a woman or as a trans woman, the most common thing that happens is you just bounce it straight out. You don't tell anyone, because that would require responsibility, because then you've told someone. You just bounce it the fuck out. My entire online example is proof of this. In my mind, at least, it's enough to continue on. It's the authority that I'm speaking from, because I've personally experienced it 1,000 times now. So I've seen that women under no circumstances will actually react to something like this. Yeah, if someone tries to hurt their kid, they're going to maybe punch them or run away or defend them or phone the police. This isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about really serious threats that come in initially. They're accepting them as perhaps a juicy bit of gossip. And then the way I heard it explained this morning was oh, that's not why I was doing that. Because their innate protective mechanism of surveying their environment for threats has been hijacked so much. It has been raped to death. I'll send this straight to Abby Chatfield because she loves talking about how women are constantly raped. Well, here's a new way that women are raped. Their innate protective mechanism, their influence on defense of their group has been raped to fucking death by marketing and by sales, by gossip, like frivolous celebrity gossip, so much that if anything real comes in, they're not actually in communion with the fact that that's what they're doing. It's been morphed into something that is a social, like a game, like just a fun little game. This is probably why women are obsessed with true crimes. And this is a really serious phenomenon. Like there is this massive amount of women that are absolutely obsessed with true crime. This is what they're doing because it's become like a fantasy game where they're not really being affected with it. And then so it's like they want that unless it becomes real, and then it is just like dumped out the window. They're just like, holy shit. I didn't see anything. I didn't know anything. I'm not participating in that. I'll go back to just turning it into gossip and hearsay. I just want to know what Nicole was doing. I don't want to know that. Like, and this is, we could prove this by having, like, we'll have a suburban neighborhood. We'll have, a random selection, and we'll just have little things like someone drags a body and sticks it in a boot. I guarantee you that a huge proportion of women will not fucking do anything about it. So that's the basics. That's like the outright obvious. When we start getting into like, well, this person's been saying this, it's like, yeah, I don't want to know. I just want to keep planning my girls' weekend away in a month. I wasn't, trying to fucking save the world. That's a man's job. Where are the men? There are no men anymore because we've made them all, into soft little teddy bears because we don't want to feel threatened by our men. What about the men that aren't your men that are going to threaten you? What are you talking about? They don't exist. That's literally where we are. And then there's the constant battle of all men is like, well, I'm picking up on these fucking threats and I'm getting because men do it kind of differently. But then anything preparatory to counteract those threats is being perceived as a threat by the women local to them. And because you're in the acceptable sphere of gossip, then you're just treated like a reality TV star or something like or some type of novelty. Oh, he's just playing some funny game on the internet. That's literally where we are. It's fucking terrifying. And it needs attention. Because the problem is like if we miss too many things, if we under expose these things, obviously it's bad if we overexpose. We don't want to be fucking crazy, but that's what's going to happen. If we under prepare and we underexpose and we acclimatize to these threats, then when we actually come through, then we're going to overcook the fucking thing. And I think most women will have seen this in men. They see, I'm perceived as weird because I'm kind of constantly just at a low level of preparation for something. I'm like, we should be doing this. This has gotten bad. This is really dirty. This is messy. We should clean it up. We should start, fixing these 70 years of bad financial things and planning. And we should actually be aware of the environments we're building and not pretend that we're all living in a penthouse in New York, which I think is kind of what's happening as well. We should be very comfortable with where we actually are, but we're not. So I'm kind of constantly there. So I'm a weirdo. I'm an annoyance because I'm not participating in frivolous kind of party-like behavior. But if something comes in, I know every guy around, they're all going to overreact. It's going to put everyone in danger. It's going to put your children in danger. It's going to put women in danger because they're not like actually knowing and prepared for what is actually going to happen. They're kind of being over prepared and then they're oblivious. And so it's massively fucking dangerous. And what does that mean? It means that those men that aren't preparing will falsely rigged game, fuck off the umpires. Falsely perceive the men that are actually trying to do the whatever as a conflict point. And that's going to be like a really messy fucking job. Like that's going to be an absolute. So basically, while all people are trying to they work their ass off to buy into an inflated market, I'm trying to get permission to build a marketplace of housing that is detached from this global thing, and try and find a way to do that legally that doesn't expose us to retaliation by the marketplace, because you have to play ball with that marketplace a little bit, but you don't have to fucking get down on your knees and suck its fucking entire dick. And we just don't have anyone that knows how to do that. We don't have anyone that's working on current day iterations of strategies to solve these problems. We're all being forced to do some type of Macarena dance that the fucking boomers was sold into. They're all in their flares, having their fondue, and they're like, "Yeah, look at it, it's fun. It's been really good for us. It's worked out really well for us. It's going to work out just as well for you." That's not a fucking good thing to be doing. And in fact, it's that's exactly what they didn't do. So all I'm trying to design is a correction on what they were sold that fucking created us this, and I'm trying to sell the correction in the same way that they were sold the correction to fast track their elevation through the social systems that they hijacked. But I think that can just as easily be done without fucking in a regenerative approach rather than a destructive approach, which is what they all cumulatively did. Now they get a bit of a hall pass because there was so many of them and there was so much money, and there was actually just no perception that it would possibly lead to this much destruction. Because when you're elevating, when you're blowing something up, think of a balloon, you're blowing it up, it's getting bigger. There's more room in there as you blow it up. So the constraints of the problems aren't as big because you just, we'll just keep blowing it up. Oh, there's not enough room and all the kids are like, we'll just put a bit more air in it and we'll just blow it up and it gets bigger. But that's only in the financial, only in the conceptual. And that's why, to someone like myself or countless other people like you, there's just this huge rift where it's I'm not fucking playing that game. And every type of social arrangement is a type of game. All of it. So it's just coming to the end of it. It's no, I don't want to play Twister with a bunch of fucking boomers at all. I don't want to do that. That seems weird. I don't want my children playing Twister with a bunch of boomers. I don't want to be forced into in participating in this mass fucking delusion, which I can concretely give evidence to what that is. It's not protected by a mass. The next generations, like Gen X and Gen Z or whatever, millennials, they have nowhere near the amount of structural strength that the boomers had. So if there was another boom generation right now, there would have to be right now. There isn't. That's, I think, what the internet generation has tried to do. It's tried to grab 3 generations that are radically different and squish them all into one to try and make them pick up the parcel, pass the parcel that the boomers have left us. And it's not going to happen. We're all going to disintegrate. We're all going to fucking infight and just go, fuck off, boomers. I'm not playing pass the parcel, you fucking weirdos. And the whole thing's going to fucking evaporate. So, yeah. Well, it looks like we've got fucking Dumb and Dumber have arrived. Me and Brad sunk a few tinnies watching the Lions with the granny. Smoking the glass Barbie again. Oh, you've retracted a message and then you've gone to sleep and now you've disappeared. It's going to be interesting if I don't even know if these people are fucking real. Yeah, this is what happens with, fetal alcohol syndrome and all the drugs that the boomers are doing. They produce this fucking spawn that are here just undoing their lives. I don't even have this much dedication to be on someone else's thing. I don't have as much dedication to be on my own things as they have to be on mine. And because they're not here, I will actually say right now, I'll end this by saying, like, if these individuals are proven and seen to be associates of Brad Doody, I'm going to send them all to fucking jail. Yeah, under terror charges. So you can stick that in your fucking pipe and smoke it, you cocksuckers. Alrighty, so that was a big, long video. I love that that's as well. That's perceived. This is perceived as drug use because I'm speaking fluent. It's like I've seen meth heads. They are not speaking like this. I can do tomorrow. I might do a video and I'll put on a performance that I have smoked meth, and that will be interesting. I'll try and do it, maybe, or maybe I won't, because that would be fucking embarrassing. No, I have absolutely no one around me that smokes meth. In fact, I've constantly, the last 15 years of my life, I've been walking briskly away from the last epidemic, the last pandemic that I saw in this country, which was meth. So I don't normalize it by speaking about it in comments. It's a fucking hideous fucking scourge. It's come from one fucking place. It's a gentrification tool that's been used and fucking used effectively. And it's everywhere around us. And if I had my way, I would fucking have open fucking sniper season on any fucking drug dealers in the fucking country. I should be able to go into my post office, get a fucking license to shoot meth heads or to shoot meth dealers and just be done with it. But, that's not what the Labor government wants, because it's getting paid by this fucking industry. It's a two-tier industry. You either go the legitimate way. No, it's a false two-tier. This is what the Labor government wants. It's a fork in the road. And it's not theirs, it's a funnel. It's like you're born as a child, right? Depending on where you are and what you do, there's two paths you can go down. There's Meth Alley, or there's mortgage lane. That's it. Meth Alley or mortgage lane. And as long as we've got a left and the right, that's what the Labor fucking communist socialist fucking cohort of the entire West does. They want you in one of these. Meth Alley or mortgage lane. That's the Labor version of the dichotomy of the left and the right. As long as that happens, as long as the mortgage lane people think they're superior to the Meth Alley, as long as the Meth Alley think that they're just being fucking dispossessed by the mortgage lane people, no one notices when you just don't fucking do either of it and you just fucking wander off, put on a pair of glasses and a fucking suit jacket and talk to actual meth heads in the comment section. Labor government, blah, 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 blah. Shannon should take a good look at himself in one of his poorly crafted mirrors. Oh my God, mate. You're like a poet. You're a poet. It's magnificent to see you here again. I like watching how you come in and then come out. You're like in, they're like, oh, we better log off. Do you think I've got a tracking device on you or something? Bloke has no mates. You wouldn't invite this guy to your party. Mate, I don't know anyone that would go to any, to even within 100-kilometer radius of either of you fuckwits. You are both anonymous fucking letters. That's all I know you as, with fucking forgettable names. And yet you're here. You're both here and you take turns. You come in, you say something, and then you fucking nick off. It's hilarious. There he goes. There again. See, even if someone was actually fucking talking shit, they wouldn't do that. This is fucking seagulls. Seagull out, grab a chip, seagull out. Seagull in, grab a chip, seagull out. Then they're gone. They're gone. I don't even get to have an actual fucking conversation. It's fucking... I can't wait. I love every time yous arrive, fellas. You know, I wish that with some type of digital ID, I could actually see who you were, because that's how the real world works. You have a thing called a face, and you have a thing called like a recognizable whatever. And so, yeah, I can't actually tell. I can't even go after fucking Brad Doody right now and say, mate, why are your fucking mates doing this? If I was like you and I reported this to the authorities, you'd all be in a whole lot of trouble. So that's the embarrassing thing. But I can't even tell, because who knows? This could be anyone. This could be fucking, this could just be some type of fucking thing to get me to go further and to talk more. I don't know. And now I've talked for 10 minutes longer than what I was going to because of these cocksuckers. But yeah, I want to, maybe I should have a betting service that, and there's someone there, so I don't know if this is one of these fuckwits, but it's like, are Damo Gillies and Stephen Wells actual real people, or are they phantoms? And then we could have like a tiered approach. We could go, right, with 10 to 1 that they're real, 20 to 1 that maybe they're actually Brad's mates. I think that's the hot ticket one. It's like, I'll give 5 to 1 odds that they're actually Brad Doody's mates, because that's hilarious. That would be fucking the funniest thing. I'll give 10 to 1 odds maybe that they're fucking that they're agent provocateurs, you know, there to try and lure me into some type of aggravation. 20 to 1 odds that it's actually my kids. That would be fucking even funnier again. 30 to 1 odds that it's actually their mother in disguise, and that she's just, I don't know, that would be the funniest, I think, of all. So yeah, I don't know. We'll work on those odds. I'll update them daily. Perhaps I can get a little scroll thing. You guys can get your phones out and gamble away. Why not turn this into a fucking carnival extravaganza? If you're going to be here, you may as well have a chance to win. And if you're not in it, you cannot win. Okay? Perhaps we could have all types of gambling procedures right at the end of these videos. Perhaps I could run some type of bookkeeping service that is hidden discreetly at the end of very long, boring lectures on society, and that would finance my new ring light that I need to look pretty. And perhaps a microphone so that I can gently talk into the microphone. You wait till I get a microphone. You wait for what that does to your senses while I'm just sensitively talking. I can't do it now because I haven't got one, but yeah. But yeah, maybe I can turn this into a bookkeeping service like Sportsbet or TAB, or yeah, all those things. That does run in the family. So yeah, maybe that's a way to finance this whole dog and pony show. All right. On that note, I'll sign off now, and I wish you all the best with whatever it is you are pursuing in life. Thank you.